Hey everyone, welcome back to RomeChronicle. Tonight we're slipping quietly into a side of ancient Rome that most visitors never imagine. The lives of the divers, those fearless, often overlooked souls who plunged into murky waters in search of lost treasures, coins, and forgotten relics. Have you ever heard stories like this? Where are you watching from? And what time is it there? Take a moment, dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's explore the hidden depths of Rome together. If you enjoy uncovering these unusual corners of history, gently tap like and subscribe to RomeChronicle. Imagine standing at the riverbank as the sun stretches its fingers across the Tiber, warming the stones underfoot. You hear the rhythmic splash of water, distant chatter from crowded apartments, and the occasional metallic clang from a smith at work. The divers are already preparing, their lungs steadying, eyes scanning the rippling surface. Their gear is rudimentary thick leather belts, weighted ropes, and iron hooks, nothing like the modern scuba equipment we know. Yet their confidence is palpable, built over years of knowing the river's hidden currents, its cold embraces and its sharp surprises. One of them, a wiry figure with salt-streaked hair, bends to check a leather satchel, muttering under his breath about the day's promise of coins glinting just beneath the surface. You can almost feel the tension radiating off him, a mix of anticipation and silent calculation. If the river claims your breath too soon, if a rope tangles or a current surprises, there's no room for error. And yet, there's a rhythm, a dance of danger and craft that these divers perform daily. As you watch, you might imagine stepping closer, feeling the mist on your skin, the faint stink of wet stone and fish, and the subtle vibration of life that pulses through the bustling streets nearby. It's a strange occupation, almost unimaginable. During the day, the divers are ordinary citizens, fathers, sons, neighbors, blending into crowded streets, laughing over bread and wine. But when the river calls, when coins shimmer beneath its dark surface, they transform. Their minds sharpen, each movement deliberate. There's humor in the absurdity of their tools, the ridiculous weight dragging against them, yet also a camaraderie born of shared peril. You can hear them joke softly as one nearly topples into the water, the clatter of their leather straps mingling with the distant murmur of a fountain. Their world is precarious, yes, but alive in ways most Romans never fully witness. And what treasures they recover! Tiny rings, ornate amulets, fragments of jewelry lost by hurried citizens or greedy merchants. Each find tells a story, each coin a testament to a life that once rushed along these very streets. You might imagine holding one yourself, feeling its smooth edges, picturing the hand that let it slip, and wondering if, somehow, the diver's careful retrieval also rescues the whisper of that person's history. In this moment, the river isn't just water, it's memory, danger, livelihood, and, sometimes, joy. The divers work with quiet expertise, pulling objects from depths that would make most hearts race and palms sweat. And yet, as you watch from this imagined spot, there's a strange peace in their mastery, a sense that in mastering the river, they've mastered a small, vital part of Rome itself. The sun dips lower, shadows stretching across the cobblestones. You hear distant laughter, the clatter of sandals, a dog barking somewhere between alleyways. The divers linger briefly at the edge, sharing a meal wrapped in coarse cloth, swapping stories about the day's finds. One shows a small bronze figurine, laughing at its awkward posture, Another teases about the unlucky merchant who lost his purse. You, watching quietly, feel the pulse of life here, the mixture of danger, humor, and survival that defines their strange craft. It's not glory they seek, not medals or recognition, but a steady hand, a sharp eye, and a living wage, earned beneath the surface of a city that never sleeps. Even as night begins to settle, the river hums with life, reflecting lanterns and the distant torches of passing citizens. The divers prepare for another descent, ropes and leather belts at the ready, eyes glinting with both determination and the subtle thrill of risk. Imagine yourself alongside them, leaning over the edge, heart quickening, aware that the river holds both danger and reward in equal measure. This world of submerged treasures, whispered laughter, and the scent of wet stone is theirs alone. Yet through RomeChronicle, you step into it, feeling the pulse, the tension, and the hidden rhythm of ancient Rome in a way few ever do. The night is alive with subtle sounds, the plop of water against stone, the quiet scraping of a diver's hand across a submerged object, the distant murmur of a street vendor closing his stall. Each sound is a thread in the tapestry of life, every movement a note in the symphony of survival. You sense the camaraderie, the whispered warnings, the shared jokes that echo in the stillness. And through it all, there's the river, constant and unyielding, demanding respect, rewarding skill, and keeping the secrets of countless lost lives in its cold embrace. By now, you're no longer just observing, you're immersed. The diver's life, with its peculiar dangers and hidden rewards, is as vivid as the streets themselves, as rich in texture as the leather straps and iron hooks they rely upon. In this whispered, calm exploration, RomeChronicle brings you closer to the pulse of the past, to ordinary people performing extraordinary acts under conditions that test courage, wit, and endurance. And somewhere in that cold, flowing water, in the dark depths of the city's arteries, history waits quietly, ready to be rediscovered by those daring enough to reach beneath the surface. The river's surface shimmers under the faint glow of oil lamps lining the stone quay, ripples reflecting fragments of torchlight like scattered stars. You imagine leaning closer, feeling the slight chill in the night air, the smell of damp stone and riverweed curling around your senses. The divers are already in motion, leather belts tightening, weighted ropes coiling methodically, their eyes scanning the dark water with practiced focus. It's a ritual as familiar as breathing, an intimate choreography of preparation, anticipation, and silent communication. Every movement, every whispered instruction carries the weight of experience. A misstep could cost more than pride. As one of them slides into the water, you hear the splash almost as if it were a drumbeat, a signal to the others that the descent has begun. You might imagine your own heart mirroring that rhythm, quickening as you watch hands break the surface and disappear beneath. The water is dark, carrying scents and sounds both real and imagined mud, river fish, the faint tang of the city's refuse. And yet, within this challenging environment, the diver's skills transform fear into precision. They twist and turn, arms probing, fingers grazing submerged stones, always alert for the glint of a lost coin or trinket. You feel a strange thrill imagining reaching down into the murky depths, searching blindly yet purposefully, trusting in the senses honed by years of labor. Occasionally, a muffled exclamation rises from beneath the surface, a diver triumphantly pulling a small chest or purse into view. The group chuckles quietly, teasing one another about the unlucky citizen who lost it. You can almost hear the faint clang of coins spilling, the scrape of leather, the soft curse muttered when an object slips just out of grasp. In moments like these, the line between danger and comedy blurs. These men and women navigate life-threatening work with humor as much as skill. Their laughter is low and cautious, blending with the ambient city sounds, the clatter of distant blacksmith hammers, the low murmur of street conversations, the occasional splash of someone bathing or washing nearby. Each recovered object carries its own story. A signet ring from a hurried merchant, a bracelet lost in an argument or a celebration, fragments of jewelry that once belonged to a forgotten family. You imagine holding them, turning them over in your hand, feeling the grooves and edges worn smooth by time and neglect. In these small treasures, the divers preserve the echoes of lives that might otherwise have vanished completely. They are custodians of memory, their daily toil transforming them into invisible historians of the city. Chronicling lives not in ink or marble, but in careful hands and measured breaths beneath the water. Even as night deepens and the city quiets in slumber, the divers continue their work, patient and unhurried. The river becomes a mirror to the stars, reflecting distant lanterns, swaying reeds, and the occasional passing torchbearer. You might imagine listening closely, hearing the muted lapping against stone, the whisper of leather and rope, and the subtle shifts of current, carrying both promise and peril. There is tension in every motion, yes, but also a rhythm, a balance between danger and mastery that transforms this grueling task into a dance of survival. Each successful recovery is met with quiet triumph, a nod, a whispered joke, a brief exchange of stories about the day's finds. There is also camaraderie beyond the river's edge. During rare breaks, the divers gather around small fires or over shared meals of bread, olives, and salted fish. They swap tales of near misses and extraordinary discoveries, sometimes laughing at the absurdity of what they've retrieved: a heavily corroded coin, a tiny figurine of dubious craftsmanship, or a merchant's purse that must have weighed a fortune before the river claimed it. Through RomeChronicle's lens, you see not just labor but life, the interweaving of danger, humor, and human connection that defines these unusual professions. You feel almost part of their world, transported to the cold water, the warm stone, and the hidden currents of both river and society. And yet there is an undercurrent of danger that never disappears. Currents can shift unexpectedly, ropes tangle, lungs reach the limit before the prize is in hand. Every dive is a negotiation with the river, a conversation in gestures and instincts, with consequences far heavier than any lost coin. You imagine standing on the edge, heart racing as a diver disappears beneath, trusting in skill, intuition, and sheer grit. The city above continues oblivious, bustling with lantern-lit streets and the clatter of ordinary life, while below, history itself is being recovered, one careful hand at a time. By now you sense the full texture of the diver's existence, their craft, their courage, and the strange poetry of a life lived between danger and discovery. Each splash, each recovered treasure, each shared laugh is a thread in the tapestry of ancient Rome, revealing a side of the city rarely noticed yet endlessly fascinating. You can almost reach out, feel the wet leather, the cold metal, the slick river stones beneath your fingers, and the quiet pulse of life that persists in shadowed corners and beneath the surface. Through RomeChronicle, you are not just an observer, You are a silent companion in this hidden world, experiencing the tension, humor, and quiet triumphs that define the lives of those daring enough to embrace it. The river seems to breathe in the night, each ripple carrying whispers of past misfortunes and hidden fortunes. You notice the faint outline of a diver's silhouette beneath the silvery sheen, arms moving deliberately, fingers brushing stones with careful precision. There's a rhythm to their labor, almost musical in its consistency, punctuated by soft splashes and low murmurs shared between companions. You imagine the cold biting at their skin, the weight of water pressing down, lungs stretching to their limit, yet their movements are fluid, confident survival, shaped into art. One diver surfaces with a small bronze buckle, its edges worn smooth by years beneath the river. He shows it to his companions, a quiet grin tugging at his lips, and they laugh softly, shaking their heads at the absurdity of some lost item surviving the currents for decades. You can almost hear the leather of their belts creaking as they shift positions, the faint slap of water against stone, the distant hum of night insects blending with the city's subdued heartbeat. Each object they retrieve is a fragment of someone else's life, a whisper of Rome's sprawling, intertwined human story, now momentarily theirs to hold. As the night deepens, you notice the subtle, almost invisible risks. Currents that seemed gentle an hour ago can twist unpredictably. Debris hides just beneath the surface, ready to snag a rope or bruise a limb. A diver treads carefully, eyes alert, fingers probing for unseen hazards, and you feel the tension as if it were your own. There's humor here too. A diver grimaces as a stubborn piece of chain slips from his grasp. Another jokes about his bad luck. And even in these high-stakes moments, life asserts itself with levity. It's a strange blend of fear and familiarity, peril and routine, that defines the craft entirely. You might imagine joining them just at the river's edge, toes touching the water, watching the subtle play of light and shadow, the city smells of damp stone, wood smoke, and the faint tang of fish, mingling with distant aromas of bread baking and wine fermenting. Overhead, the night sky stretches like a dark canopy, lanterns flickering along streets that echo with muffled footsteps, occasional laughter, and the soft clang of a blacksmith's hammer. The divers work within this living tapestry, each retrieval a small victory, each near miss a reminder of the precariousness of life in ancient Rome. Between dives you hear soft stories exchanged, tales of extraordinary finds and near disasters, sometimes exaggerated, often laughed at. One diver recounts recovering a lost necklace only to find a frog inside the pendant, a reminder that the river is full of surprises, some amusing, some less so. These moments humanize the divers, revealing their resilience, wit, and capacity to find joy even when life is literally pressing down from all sides. You imagine smiling alongside them, feeling the camaraderie and quiet pride that comes from mastering such a dangerous, unusual profession. The deeper beauty of this occupation becomes clear as the night wears on. The divers are not merely scavengers. They are guardians of memory, rescuing fragments of lives submerged, forgotten, or abandoned. A coin retrieved from the river might seem small to a passerby, but to them it is a connection to history, to people who walked these streets long ago. You sense the reverence in their hands, the careful attention given to each object, and you feel privileged to witness this delicate, perilous stewardship. As the first hints of dawn brush the horizon, the divers prepare to leave the river. Ropes coiled, leather straps damp, bodies tired but satisfied. The city slowly awakens, the sounds of daily life swelling, vendors arranging their stalls, children running through narrow alleyways, the soft clatter of sandals on stone. You imagine walking alongside them, stepping over slick stones, feeling the warmth of the early sun mingling with the cool, wet air of the river. The objects they've recovered are laid out, small treasures gleaming in the soft morning light, each one a testament to endurance, skill, and the quiet heroism of those who risk everything beneath the surface of a city alive with stories. RomeChronicle has brought you close to this hidden world, the sweat, tension, humor, and extraordinary care of the divers who navigate the unseen depths. You've felt the river's pull, the city's ambient life, and the pulse of a forgotten profession that balances danger and discovery with astonishing grace. As you sit quietly absorbing the smells, sounds, and textures of their world, you realize that these unsung heroes are part of the same vibrant city you've imagined, living lives as perilous as they are captivating, leaving traces of history, waiting for anyone willing to look closely beneath the surface. As the day fully awakens, the divers retreat from the riverbank, water dripping from leather straps, hair plastered to their foreheads, muscles sore but spirits quietly triumphant. You can almost feel the sun warming the damp stones beneath your feet, hear the chatter of street vendors hawking bread and cheese, the faint splash of water in nearby fountains, the rhythmic clinking of blacksmith hammers echoing down narrow alleys. The city hums with life, oblivious to the tiny miracles retrieved from its murky currents. And yet the divers carry the river's secrets with them, treasures that speak of lost lives, hurried mistakes, and the relentless flow of time. Imagine walking alongside them, sharing a simple meal of bread and olives, listening as they recount the night's recoveries. One shows a tiny bronze figurine, its features worn yet still delicate, and laughs at the absurdity of the shape, joking about how it must have once been a miniature gladiator for a child. Another recounts a purse lost during a festival, coins still clinking inside, and the subtle irony that the unlucky owner will never know it was saved by these quiet custodians. You feel a sense of wonder at their humor, their resilience, and the almost sacred care with which they handle these objects. The river lingers in their minds as they move through the crowded streets, the cold bite of water, the weight of objects, the thrill of discovery mingled with danger. You can imagine their gaze lingering on a merchant's cart, on the glint of coins, on the patterns of river currents, even in the open streets. It is a profession that requires constant awareness, quick thinking, and an almost intuitive connection to the hidden life of the city. Through RomeChronicle, you sense the rhythm of their day, the cadence of their movements, and the subtle heroism of lives devoted to mastering peril with quiet skill and steadfast courage. There is something poetic in the ordinariness of their routines. While the city buzzes with politics, festivals, and the relentless passage of daily life, the divers have carved out a niche where danger and care coexist. You imagine their laughter echoing softly through narrow lanes, the faint splash of water still on their skin, the smell of wet stone and olive oil lingering. Their stories, shared in whispers over morning meals, bridge the divide between the submerged past and the bustling present, connecting them, and now you, to the invisible threads of human experience that define Rome's sprawling tapestry. And perhaps what is most remarkable is the intimacy of this work. Each recovered coin, each ornament, Each tiny artifact is a story rescued from oblivion. The divers' hands are steady not only because of skill, but because they understand the weight of memory, the delicate balance between what is lost and what is saved. As you watch, you imagine holding one of these treasures yourself, turning it over in your hand, feeling its history, imagining the person who lost it, and understanding even for a moment the strange intersection of risk, care, and human connection that defines this unusual occupation. Finally, as the morning sun climbs higher, the divers prepare to return home, leaving the river quiet and glistening, its currents hiding more secrets for another night. You stand at the edge, feeling the pulse of Rome, the scent of baking bread, the distant laughter of children, the constant, understated hum of a city alive with stories both told and untold. Through RomeChronicle, you have glimpsed a hidden world, the tension, the humor, the courage, and the quiet dignity of those who risked everything beneath the surface, retrieving not only treasure, but the fragile threads of memory itself. Take a moment now, breathe deeply, and let the images settle. The splash of water, the scrape of leather, the shimmer of coins under torchlight. You've walked alongside the divers, shared in their triumphs and close calls, and felt the pulse of a Rome rarely seen, but richly alive. If this journey stirred your curiosity, softly tap like and subscribe to RomeChronicle, so together we can continue uncovering these hidden, extraordinary corners of history. The river waits, the city hums, and the stories whispered, daring, and alive are always ready to be rediscovered.